Hello.
Good afternoon.
Screen set up here. I don't know who else is going to join us, but thank you for calling in.
Mm-hmm. Got baseball in an hour, so
Well, I'm hoping this will take no more than 20 minutes. We'll go through a couple of things. If there's some questions that you've got, I haven't received a ton of really any questions over the last couple of weeks, but so for those who might be listening to this later as a recording, please, if you do have some questions that you'd like us to cover in these meetings, please send them to me. You can send them to Intramural Soccer at wrasports.org, or you get plenty of emails from me. You can just reply to one of those. Similarly, I am recording this meeting, and I will get this up on YouTube, and you can see it there. And just let me know what questions, what troubles you guys are running into. So, all right, I'm actually not going to belabor things. If people call in, they can join in. We're going to follow the standard agenda. Let me see if I can get this actually cycled to the next page. Hang on.
I played my baseball team before.
Oh, slide. There we go. So, keeping with the regular agenda, cover a bit about practice, about games, any questions. One thing, just this came up in other conversations during the last couple of weeks, and it was something that I actually heard for the first time at a coaching course about 2 years ago before the pandemic. Was avoiding the 3 A's. That's laps, lines, and lectures, as best you can, especially with the younger age groups. The kids just don't have a lot of attention. So if you have you're in lines, and you've probably experienced this, they start poking each other, they start bouncing balls, they do anything they can other than pay attention to what you need them to be looking at. Similarly with lectures, in first and second grade, if you can get 30 seconds of their time to kind of run through a couple of points, that's great. But I really wouldn't spend any more than that. Just as best you can, keep them playing. So when you put together your practice plans, try to keep that in mind. Avoid lectures, avoid lines. And lastly is laps. Oftentimes some coaches will be like, if you're not doing what I'm asking you to do, you're not concentrating on what we're doing, I'm going to do laps. Not so much in the first and second grade group that I hear this a lot. This is more in the third, fourth, and older ages, where coaches will have kids do laps if they're not paying attention, or if they're messing up in some way. I get it, but at the same point, as intramural soccer coaches, we only get one practice a week. So you really want to make the most of your time, and having them run laps, it may not be the best use of that time. So, definitely, I certainly would encourage kids to look into physical conditioning, but running laps as practice is probably not a good idea. If they want to if you can put together a program for the kids to follow at home, that would be awesome. If you can help them find somebody who can do that, that would be good. But as best you can, try to avoid the 3 L's. We do have a couple of people on the call, and I'm just curious, has anybody taken any training courses, either online from US Soccer or other places?
I'm me, but one of my other coaches is like Monco, I think does Monco United, so he helps out. So I think he's got some more formal training than I do.
All right, yeah, I'll be able to see if they're said not yet. All right, good. Just as a reminder, there is a link to US Soccer's online training. It's on the if you go to WRA under Intramural Soccer, there's a coaches resources page on the drop down. There's a free course that US Soccer offers. It takes about 20 minutes, half an hour to sit through. And then there's additional 4v4, 7v7, 9v9, and 11v11 courses. You can do them online or in person. They're very worthwhile. Those are the ones I've done. There's also United Soccer Coaches has a number of courses that you could look into. And just as a reminder, if you do take a course, WRA has money set aside to help reimburse for coaching education. Just send me a copy of the receipt. If preferably, let me know before you sign up for the course. And then when you're done and you get a certificate, just send me a copy of the certificate and I'll make sure that that money gets credited to your WRA account. It's usually the easiest way to do it. Yeah, that would be good. And then, also on that coaching resources webpage, there are session plans from, Eastern Pennsylvania Youth Soccer as well as Massachusetts. Just curious, have anybody used any of those practice plans? No.
I've looked at them and done one or two things. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything in particular interest you in those?
I can't recall off the top of my head right now, but like I just like when I'm trying to get videos for different drills, and I take a look, kind of look to see if I can pick something up.
All right.
Is this the PDF that you have on the website?
There's actually, what I can do is I can show you. Let me pull up what the website we're talking about here. Hang on, just go into the Intramural Soccer webpage on my other screen here. So this is the WRA Intramural Soccer page. If you go under soccer, then under Intramural Soccer, down here at the bottom, there's this coaching resources link. And you click on that. And here's the link to the US soccer training. But then there's all of these, like you said, PDFs and links to, Eastern Pennsylvania Youth Soccer plans and to Massachusetts Youth Soccer.
Okay, I did download the PDF and sometimes I found it useful. I do take the drill again and check it on YouTube just to get a visualization better on how to do it, but it's pretty helpful. It's just, it really depends on the team and how much you can get their attention to do that.
No, that's an excellent point. YouTube is a very great resource for pulling down the coaching plans and even just drills. Sometimes seeing them in action makes it a lot clearer than what's written down on a page. Yeah, no, that's a good use. I should probably put together a set of links from that I found useful on YouTube and share that out to the group. So it's a good idea. I'll try to put something like that together. All right. Games. When I was walking around the fields this weekend, I'm trying to get more to get around to see all the coaches, say thank you to everybody, and I want to make sure I get as many of the coaches as I can. One of our WRA soccer movements, which look like that little symbol down there in the bottom left of the screen there. Yeah, I want to just get around and say thank you. I noticed that there were a couple of divisions where there was only one game going on one team on one field. Just they didn't have enough kids to put teams, enough players on both fields. One team had 6 kids sitting on the sideline because the other team only had 6 kids total show up. I would recommend, if possible, and if you can, break out some pennies and use both fields. But I was just curious, are we having trouble maintaining attendance? Has anybody gotten any feedback from families?
Just conflicts with other sports. I have some boys who play football. And honestly, like when I've had games where I had 8 kids and it was 2 games of 4-on-4, they were getting gas because it was so hot, and just, some kids just are disinterested. So it's sometimes I was like 4-on-2. So it's kind of, I try to as much as I can, but sometimes I don't want to go 4-on-4 with 8 kids because, they get gas quick and they're not, as interested. So I might do, once I did 5-on-5 with it, or I did 5 players on the field and a goalie. We did that once to kind of just to have it on one field and have some more kids on because, the other team had 12 and we only had like 8. So.
Yeah, I think attendance has been okay. I would say I always have enough to do what we do with the other coach is like, let's play 10 minutes, stop, another 10 minutes, because there are not enough kids, they get tired and then it's just like, they're like on the floor crying for water almost. So and the weather has been hot. So it's good that the weather has been good, but it's probably too hot for this season, right? For them to be running.
Yeah, I would say yesterday was probably at least in the morning in particular, was about perfect. It did get warm during the afternoon. So if you have one of those midday games, it could be definitely a lot warmer. And then, of course, starting in August, we are going to see that. Yeah, so that makes sense. I mean, it's just, I'm glad to hear you guys work it out with the other coaches, with the other team, try to get the kids as much playing time as you can in the hour that you're allotted. That's great. So yeah, I was just kind of concerned, and I just want to make sure that, if we have enough kids between the two teams, it's not so critical that the kids definitely play with their own teammates. If you can jumble them up, let them get out and playing. But your point was good, that if the problem is that they just can't run that long, or it's too hot. Yeah, it's better to have more subs so you can keep them fresher. That definitely makes sense. Okay. What else do they have on games? Just my normal reminder is that it's about trying things. We want the kids to try things. To add this little diagram I'm talking through the 4 phases of the game. As the season goes on, hopefully the kids are starting to understand a bit about playing defense, about playing the attack. If you can, start working in the midfield, and then start talking to them about the different roles of each of those positions. When you're on the attack and you're in the attacking half, what are you trying to do if you've got the ball? What are you trying to do if you don't have the ball? You're trying to take on a defender if you've got the ball. You're trying to get into open space so your teammate could pass it to you. We're still going to have swarm ball. I know that. In fact, I'm kind of frustrated by the field sizes, and I know a number of coaches have expressed that to me as well. Next year, we're definitely looking at how we can get larger fields laid out for the first and second grade kids so that they have more space to play on, while balancing the need to also have an 11v11 field or two for the larger age groups. Optimally, we'll move the first and second grade groups over to the area by the parking lot, right off that group where currently our kindergarten and first grade, or kindergarten and preschool and pre-K are playing. And we can make larger fields so that next year you'll have more space there. There'll be larger versions of the 4v4 fields, and we can move the younger kids over to the side. The only concern with that is finding space at the complex for an 11v11 field. So I've got to work with our facilities director on that thing. But no, that's for next year. For this year, we're gonna just have to wade through it as best we can. Just hopefully they're starting to develop a bit of understanding. Different kids, as one of you said, some of them are still just kind of picking grass, and that's fine. Some of them are ready to learn a little bit more. So hopefully you can introduce some of those topics to them about, getting into space, working on some passing. First and second grade, it's hard. Even third and fourth grade, it's hard. Can you guys see my screen? Have you been able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, all right, good, because it just popped up saying now people can see your screen, and I'm like, well, I certainly hope you guys have seen it for a while now.
Yeah, we have been seeing the black screen. Yeah, with the instructions. Yes.
All right. General topics. I just wanted to cover a little bit about finishing this season. First and second grade, we should be wrapping by the end of October, which is 4 more weeks of games. Yeah, the 9th, the 16th, the 23rd, and the 30th. So there's still plenty of time to get them out playing, get them out running. Definitely look to start introducing additional topics to your players as best as they can't handle. Again, we're dealing with 5, 6, 7, maybe an 8-year-old in the group from time to time. Their mental, their ability to concentrate and to understand is can be limited. Can be difficult to cover things, but the idea of playing in space, playing your positions, it's good to start covering those things with them. I have any other? I'm just looking at my other notes here on finishing the season. Yeah. Just one last thing. Make sure you do cycle the players that the kids play with a little bit so that they can kind of get experience playing with a bunch of different players on their teams. I don't think that that's been a problem. I think you guys have all been probably trying to do that, both at practices and at the games. Right. Here. So any questions from anybody on the call? Either about practice, about games.
So about practice, sorry, I was muted. So it's just because the weather is changing and the sun is going down earlier. So if we move practices earlier and there is empty space, we can practice in any place, right? Or do we need to stick to the original plan?
Are you?
I practice next to them to where they play, but the problem is there is that kind of like small hill that goes down, and it's very easy for the kid to just kick the ball and goes down, and then we waste time just like going pick it up and bring it back.
So I would say just keep your commissioner informed if you need to change where you're playing. There are additional open spaces. If you don't mind playing on them, that's great. We have some space along the 7v7 fields down there on that lower plateau. We also have some space in the grass on the other side of the 9v9s from the first and second grade fields that we can certainly make use of. They just don't have any nets on them. So, we want to keep the nets on the fields. And if you want to, bring cones and line out with fields with cones, I don't have any problem with that. Just let the commissioner know we actually have a Google sheet that we use to track which teams are playing on what fields on which nights.
Okay, even for practice?
Yeah. We just make sure that if that we don't have two teams scheduled for the same place. Like you said, as long as there's open space, I don't think you're going to have a problem with saying, hey, today we're going to play down the hill. That should be fine. If you're going to do it consistently, though, it would be nice just to inform the commissioner.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Sure. All right. Any other questions? No. Then I think that's about it. We'll wrap it early. 17 minutes. If you guys any longer, if you're good, I just want to make sure that kids have a good time. Try to avoid the 3 L's. Try to get as many of them playing in the games for as long as they can. As Chief mentioned, we're going to be losing a little earlier. At this age, first and second grade, you're looking at about an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes the kids can practice. Sun's going down now. It's setting 7 o'clock. So as long as you're starting by 6 or 5:45, if you think your kids can go a little longer, you'll still be able to get in a good practice. And the good news is with the season ending that last weekend of October, we'll be done before daylight saving ends. So we should have light through the rest of the season. And also, if you, for whatever reason, if you can't hold the practice one week, that's fine. This is intramural soccer. We're not expecting teams to practice every week. As best you can, it's great. Kids like to get out and playing. The parents like to get their kids out and playing. But life happens and weather happens, and we've been real fortunate so far. But we're in October. Weird things happen. Do the best you can, and we appreciate it. All right. If there's nothing else from the people on the call, I'll say goodbye for today, and we'll meet again next week. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.